Grand Rising, Curvies. How are you this morning? I look crazy. I was just coming on here real quick, Curvies, because I just had some news and I had to come share it with you. Um, I'm going to put this back so I'm not distracting. Let's get this picture up. Oh my gosh, Curvies. Thanks for coming in. Make sure you smash that like button, smash the subscribe button on your way in. If you haven't already, go ahead and ring the bell so you can get notified when we upload a video. And so you can become part of the beautiful curvy community that we're growing in the YouTube streets. Now you're going to have to excuse the traffic out my window because I love morning air. And so I'm sitting by the window and there's a school down the street and school is in session. Actually, we have year-round school in the district we live in. So let's put that like that. Trying to get it together for you guys. But go ahead and smash all the buttons. Double tap the screen or use the three dots at the top and that'll give it a like. And likes are free. Way to support the channel. Thanks again for coming through. So you guys, I love the Real Housewives franchises usually. And the first one was Real Housewives of Orange County. Now, back in 2007, I got one channel on my TV. So I was able to catch up on the Real Housewives of Orange County that year. I was pregnant. And we had one channel that worked good. And I was able to see the Real Housewives of OC. And Vicki Gunvalson was always really intriguing to me. She had her house that looked like the Playboy Mansion. She loved saying "woo," and she was kind of, to me, she was chunky. And since I was chunky, I was like, I like chunky people when they're living their best life and don't really care what the haters say. And so I appreciated that about her, that she still was just living her best voluptuous life. And as it turned out, she was in insurance. And that was the very first time I took an insurance class no, it wasn't 2007. I took my insurance class. It was about 2004. I took my first insurance class, you guys. And I was going to sell insurance and I got enrolled in a class and they ended up canceling the class because not enough people were enrolled or something like that happened. The same thing happened when I went to go take my first real estate class because I'm licensed in both. And so I didn't sign back up for that class and I focused on insurance instead at that time. I focused on real estate instead back then. And so I was able to get my real estate license before I got my life insurance license. So I circled back and got my life insurance license here in the last 3 years. I've been a licensed financial professional to sell life insurance and whatever, what those kinds of things for the last 3 years now. So it's a full circle moment. But anyway, that's what me and Vicki Gunvalson have in common. And she is one of the inspirations for me on becoming a life insurance agent because she's been wildly successful. Wildly successful. Okay. And I'm here for all the wildly successfulness that you can have in life. And if it can get you a grotto like home behind a gated community where you're living your best life, then hey, I'm for it. Plus, you get to help people protect their families and loved ones. Hey, so of course, Vicki Gunvalson inspired me. And I too now have my life insurance license. So this morning, I got up early. Every morning, I get up around 5. And this morning, I got up and I happened to come across the story that had came out 5 hours before I got up. I got up at 5, so it must have dropped around midnight. And which is surprising because Vicki's on in California, so dropping stories at midnight is interesting. Grand Rising, Purple Queen, I love it. Right on. Thanks for coming through. So make sure you guys are smashing the like button on the way in. If you haven't already, get subscribed. and ring the bell because I just popped on here this morning. And that's one way to find out when I do go live. Yes, I already said, please excuse the traffic outside my window. Um, so anyway, yeah, this morning I was like, what is this story that I see over here about Vicki Gunvalson and her near-death experience? Let me do a copyright disclaimer real quick because it's not my um, this is not my material, but we will be listening to it for research and education and commenting. She's going to save somebody's life with the information we're going over today. Like the thumbnail says, this is a scary story from Vicki Gunvalson on her near-death experience. So hopefully we're going to be saving lives with this information we're sharing today. Darn, where's my thing? Yeah, hopefully we'll be saving lives because it's really important to look out for the signs that Vicki Gunvalson is going to share of what she had to go through, you guys. Things can change in the matter of a moment. In the matter of a moment. So I just hope that you guys are prayed up and that your stuff is taken care of so that if something does happen, the people in your life won't have to worry. Now, we know Vicki Gunvalson and her good insurance invested self. Definitely her loved ones would have been taken care of, and she definitely had her house in order. However, hopefully this message can help other people and not only get their house in order, but look for the symptoms of what she's going to be describing. So real quick, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, fair use is permitted. There I am, you guys. So copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, fair use is permitted for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. And we're doing teaching, commenting, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips balance of fair use. So we're doing educational right now. And so that's the copyright disclaimer. I don't know if I have to show it and read it, but here it is. Okay, so now I'm going to I have this video ready to go. So I'm going to stop sharing this and I'm going to start sharing this. And we're going to listen to this. This is a crazy story, you guys. Let's go here first. So this is Vicki. 1 week ago, she spent 2 weeks exploring Italy, Barcelona. Here, let's do that. 2 weeks ago, she spent with Mike. This is her new boyfriend. That's not Brooks. But she spent 2 weeks touring Italy and Barcelona with her friends and her man. And I'm just showing you this to show you how quick things can change, okay? She went from smiling, traveling, 2 weeks. This is a week ago. So within the last 3 weeks, was her life. What an amazing trip, visiting her son, seeing her friends in Rome, and the top producer leader summit that must have been for her insurance stuff. Okay. And then look. So that's 1 week ago. She spent 2 weeks. Okay. So now we're going to come over here. Her near-death experience, as told on My Friend and My Soulmate podcast. She has a My Friend, My Soulmate podcast. I guess. I'd never heard of it, but all the housewives seem to have podcasts right now. Let's let this play.
It's going to be a little different in that Vicki's going to hang with us. She's going to update us, tell all of us what's going on, because she's always been an open book and shared her truth with all of y'all at home. And she's going to hang with us as long as she can. And then whenever she's ready to wrap it up and go back to resting, which she needs to do, that's when I'll talk some messy housewife stuff with y'all. Okay, so, but for right now, we're going to give Vicki, she's going to tell y'all kind of just what she's been going through, and then I'm going to take you back.
Can you guys hear it okay?
About everything. So
can
Vicki,
I get a 1 in the chat if you can hear it?
So good to see your beautiful face.
Can I get a 1 in the chat if you can hear it? Grand Rising, Muddy Grace. Oh, you watched it this morning too? Wasn't that crazy? This is scary. This is scary.
I've been so worried about you this last week. I've been praying for you like crazy. I've been begging my parents to pray for you. I'm just so happy to see you. So tell everybody what you've been going through.
Well, I'm having Michael join us today because there's a lot of hours missing in my life because I got like amnesia, semi-stroke. So Michael's going to come in and pipe in when I get blank. So last Thursday,
hey, thanks for coming, Shayla Jo.
Got my hair done as usual. Went on my way to the office, and there seems to be about an hour or two that I was missing, and I don't know where I was. I got to the office. Olivia is Michael's daughter who works with me. I had a client coming in, and she said I was talking gibberish, and I wrote an email out, and the email didn't make sense. And so I went in with the client, and my client happened to be a retired ER physician. And he got up and told Olivia that I was possibly having a stroke. We didn't know. I don't remember anything. And she took me to the hospital. Michael was in Phoenix, and she called her daddy and said to come home.
Real quick, Muddy Grace. No way. My heart goes out to you and your family. I'm so sorry that happened. And this is a crazy story, you guys. I want you to listen to this. I'm not sure what it's connected to. I don't know who got the whats and the wheres. But if this is happening to other people, it feels like it could be a microcosm of the macrocosm. And this is like, we're hearing this story. And now we have Muddy Grace in the comments saying that happened to somebody she knows. So that means that this could be something that's going to be, I don't know. Let's see.
And so really from that point on, I don't recall much. They did misdiagnose me as having a sinus infection and discharged me about 7 o'clock that night. And Michael, you can take it over from there.
About 3 weeks ago, she had a sinus infection that was a little different, where it lasted a little longer, and she was...
So 3 weeks ago would have been while they were in, on her trip in Barcelona, in Spain, Barcelona, Italy, and all those places we just saw. So 3 weeks ago, she would have been on this video. 3 weeks ago, you guys, she had a sinus infection, and this happened after that.
Really
You're welcome, Muddy Grace.
Feeling that well. She got on antibiotics, was doing better. We went to Europe. Everything was okay for the most part. But then when she got home on that Thursday night, and Olivia called me when she was lethargic, and she really didn't understand where she was. So they put her in the hospital, and they told the doctor that she had the sinus infection a few weeks back. So they kind of ran with that and didn't really get into any more detail. Well, it turns out they sent her home. I'm working on a project in Scottsdale, so I took the first flight back. And when I got here, her friend was with her, and she left about 3 minutes before I was walking in the door. And one of the scariest things for me was when I walked in, for some reason, Vicki decided she wanted to take a bath, but so she's in the bathtub with water, and I walk in and she's pretty much passed out. So I grabbed her. That was scary. And I grabbed her, pulled her out of the water, put her in bed. The doctor said she just needed to sleep. So I put her in bed and she slept literally 13, 14 hours straight. And I just started a little much. So I woke her up. And when I did, I tried to get her out of bed and I asked her, she had this kind of look on her face like she didn't know where she was. And I said, "What's my name?" And she looks at me for literally 15 seconds and goes, "Mike." And then I said, "What's your birthday?" And same thing. So I asked her several questions. When I tried to stand her up to take her to the restroom, she couldn't walk. She was shuffling her feet. And so she was so discombobulated on this whole thing. I said, I was afraid she was having a stroke. So I said, "That's it." So I picked her up, carried her downstairs, put her in the car, took her to Hogue. So after we got there, it was, didn't take much. They put her right into a room. She had a massive infection of, it was actually sepsis, but it was pneumonia. And what happened, and I'm no doctor, but the way they explained it is that when your body is fighting that big of an infection and that dangerous of an infection, your whole body attacks it, which affects the brain and everything else in your body because your body sends everything it has to fight it. And so, unfortunately, I've had sepsis. It's not fun, but it was scary for her because she just didn't know where she was. And so they put her on 6, 8 antibiotics, and Hope was great once we got her there. And it was just been a long process where, she's steroids, she's had everything under the sun. And she's getting better. And I'm staying with her till she can function. And but it's pretty emotional. It was, Christian, it was dangerous. I was trying not to play into it, but it was scary. And so we're glad she's okay.
Thank God for Olivia. Olivia, if Olivia hadn't spoke up and said, like, no, like, we got, because, and like, I know you, Vicki, like, especially in the middle of a work day, to try and get Vicki out of the office, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, thank God you were with somebody that, knows you well enough to know that it wasn't right and loves you enough to speak up and be like, we got to do something, and I knew it was serious because we were supposed to have a meeting that day. We were supposed to have a pod meeting with our team. And Olivia texts me and she goes, "Mickey's not going to make the meeting." And she goes, "She's not making sense. I'm going to the."
Okay, so far we just listened that Vicki Gunvalson's near-death experience started with a sinus infection 3 weeks ago. They traveled, they come back, she goes to the doctor, they send her home. They said, "Oh, it's just your sinus infection." Her man, Mike Smith, right here, comes home from his trip in Arizona, and he's like, "Baby, what's happening?" He gets to the house, she's in the bathtub, passed out. I mean, like, the first thing I thought was Whitney Houston too, and even Vicki Gunvalson uses that as an example of being passed out in the bathtub like that, for him to come find her like that. And I too am very glad that Vicki has found someone that truly loves and cares for her. We all deserve that, you guys. We all deserve that. We do. And I too am glad that Vicki has found somebody that truly appreciates her. Yes, it's a silent killer. Look, real fast, sepsis. I'm going to read to you guys what sepsis is, and then we're going to finish this crazy, scary story. Sepsis is a life-threatening complication of an infection. Sepsis occurs when chemicals released in the bloodstream to fight an infection trigger inflammation throughout the body. This can cause a cascade of changes that damages multiple organ systems, leading them to fail and sometimes even resulting in death. Symptoms include fever, difficulty breathing, low blood pressure, fast heart rate, and mental confusion. You keep hearing her say that she lost like hours, she lost days, she lost a week. She just doesn't, like, it's still being pieced together in her mind right now. Mimi, thanks for coming through. So it requires a medical diagnosis, which she went to the doctor, but they misdiagnosed Vicki Gunvalson. And I'm sure she got the good insurance. If she has a house that looks like it belongs at the Playboy Mansion, girl has some good insurance, and she sells insurance. So for her to have went to the doctor and they misdiagnosed her sepsis that needs to be medically diagnosed, and they didn't even look, that's even scarier. How many people do you know that got sent home by the doctor and died like within hours? Because they need to do better at these hospitals. Okay. Anyway, but I'm just glad that at least Mike was there for her to be her advocate. A lot of us need advocates in the medical arena because they don't let, we look as a Black person, that's part of our complaint is that they don't be listening to Black people about what we say. We're like, oh, it hurts. And they're like, sure, it does. And then your arm falls off, So it's not just a Black thing. It's not just a white thing. Everybody can use a medical advocate when they go to talk to these people. And that person can be there to take notes for you, to understand what you might have missed. Because if you're sick, you're not going to be able to listen to everything the doctor tells you all the time. So hopefully a lot of people will have opportunities to access to some kind of medical advocate that can hear what you can't hear, see what you can't see, and be willing to challenge the doctors on your behalf if you're too incoherent, or take you back and demand that you get taken care of and tested appropriately, because that's what Michael ends up doing for her. Let's take a listen.
ER, and I was just like, what?
I have to say this, that if there, I had a guardian angels, not only when I was driving, because I don't remember driving, but Olivia, me not being home alone, I would have probably died because I would have drowned, like a Whitney Houston thing. Number two is that Michael was able to get back from Phoenix and oversee all this. To be in the hospital at this day and age, 5 or 6 days is unheard of. But I don't remember much. And that's the trauma of the brain. He said it's very similar to a stroke or PTSD, where the brain kind of just goes into quiet mode. It just won't remember to protect you, So there was just a litany of things that could have happened and gone wrong, and it didn't. So thank you, Jesus. But thank you, Michael, for being there for me.
Well, you also, Christian, you're right. Olivia, a very bright young girl, and she saw it. She goes, she'd already made the decision before she called me. She goes, Dad, we're going. And I said, that's the right call, go. She goes, we're going. Something's wrong. She knows Vicki very well. She goes, we're going. So it was just ironic that the client she had was a doctor, and he said, you're going. So
if you look at the way it all added up, and then for Olivia to take you, and then for them to send you back, and I just can't believe that they sent you back, and then for it to be as serious as it was, and then I don't know if you're comfortable sharing it. Oh, sorry, my computer's being dumb. What is happening? Sorry. My Siri is like literally talking to itself here, and I don't understand why. Stop. If you're comfortable, tell everybody what I think it was the neurologist told you whenever I think you were getting ready to finally be discharged properly, and he kept it 100 with you.
Yep. So I just had a call with my team, and I wanted to be sure I was understanding everything correctly. So I have a neurologist, an infectious disease.
You guys are
doctor.
welcome. This is awesome.
On Monday. But I said, did I hear this right? That I had a 10 to 20% survival. And the lady said on the phone, she's been calling me every day, and she said, yes, the sepsis that went to your body is deadly, and you survived it. So you're going to be okay. It's just going to take you a while. So my energy level is super low. Michael's been incredible. He's given me my medicines because I can't remember when I'm taking them. And I'm sleeping enough, probably too much, but I can't get the energy to walk right now. But it is very similar. It mimics like a stroke. And, I just have a blank 3 days. I mean, it's crazy. It's like somebody just swooped them off the calendar. And laying in the hospital bed and going through all the IVs and everything, it didn't even bother me because I was so sick. I was so sick. And the fact that they allowed me to get out and come home, I was so grateful and thankful. And I just look at, I'm so grateful of all the different things that could have happened, didn't happen. So, maybe there's still life ahead of me of things I need to be doing.
There absolutely is. There absolutely is. And, I've thought about, my mind's gone the 85 million, what could have happened directions. If this had been a different time of day and you were at the office late pulling one of your all-nighters.
I would.
It could have just been horrible. And which too, when we talked about this, I said, we have to talk about this on the podcast because for many reasons, if you're listening to this and you now or 10 years from now have a moment like Vicki where you maybe something doesn't feel right, or you always got to listen to yourself, and God forbid or God willing you have an Olivia around you, and if you are the Olivia, speak up. If you see somebody in your family or a friend that just little things like that, little signs, it's better safe than sorry, and thank God.
I didn't even
Grand Rising Q
to call 911. I didn't have the wherewithal to know I was falling out of my brain. I mean, I didn't have any knowledge. It was just Linda said I was shaking and Olivia said I was talking gibberish, and I didn't have any knowledge to know something was going wrong. So it is true that we have to listen to ourselves, but more or less, if you can't speak, you got to look at people around you to speak for you. And I really believe I had guardian angels with me, with Olivia and Michael, and my friend Tina was there, and just getting me care because I couldn't do it myself. So I think I have a little bit of trauma from it. I cry a lot. And Michael keeps saying, "Why do you keep crying?" And I don't have an answer.
It's the steroids and everything they're giving her.
It's probably a multitude of things. The medicine sure as hell ain't helping. But I guess.
Oh, can we give a shout out to Vicki Gunvalson? Bless her heart. She's been through so much. I'm feeling her right now. Like, I feel like crying with her. That was some scary shit, you guys. Oh my gosh. That's why she keep crying. That's overwhelming. That is over freaking whelming. The thought that you did all of this stuff and you're trying to do the best you can, and it's only by chance and by golly, then God's intervention that she's even here today to tell the story to us about what to look for, what to go see the doctor about, and the signs and the symptoms, and go back to the doctor. If they don't do you right, go back to the doctor. Go back. They better find out what's wrong with you. Naughty Love is in the house. What's good? Grand Rising. It's so freaking scary. That's right. Let's take a listen.
Obviously it's emotional too because you just keep thinking, I'm sure, what if,
Well,
just
Christian, Christian, I can tell you, I mean, I was trying to be the stone-faced tough guy, but it was scary for a while. It really was. And
I can imagine. I mean,
Michael said he was driving to the hospital 115 miles an hour.
Okay,
right?
Christian, I actually had fun doing this. I had the flashers on, and I was going down around people on 405. I was actually hauling ass.
Hey, you did what
he was hauling ass for his woman. Isn't that great? Michael was like, I was hauling ass. He was hauling ass for his woman. Vicki got a good one finally, because Brooks might have stopped and taken a picture somewhere or not, or been like, oh, you'll be okay, Vicki, or something. I don't know. God blessed Vicki with a real one. And most of the Michaels I know are great guys. My husband's name is Michael. So this is really awesome for Vicki. Yep. Don't take no for an answer, Mimi says. Get a second opinion. Always get a second opinion. Always get a second opinion, you guys. They don't know everything, obviously, because they sent her home and she had life-threatening sepsis happening, and they sent her home and told her it was a sinus infection. Were they trying to get Vicki Gunvalson off our screens? That's scary. Yes.
I was hoping a cop would get behind me and stay with me and take me.
Yeah, let him lead the way. So. Absolutely. Well, Michael, I mean, I know I've told you this before too, as somebody who's always just wanted the best for Vicki. It's just so wonderful to finally see somebody that loves her with good intentions in her corner, and especially thank God at times like this, you know, that she has somebody, that she has somebody. And I know that it means everything to her, you know. So thank you for taking care of our girl. Thank Olivia for being the brave lifesaver that she
So this is just about over. Let's see.
literally she saved the day. So I think Olivia gets an extra like 2 weeks of vacation at Kodo this year, Vicki.
She's asking for 3, but I doubt she gets it.
Well, I think 2 is a good starting point for sure. Vicki, do you how are you feeling right now? Is there anything you want to tell folks before you go back to resting?
So I had pneumonia, which I've never had pneumonia in my life. My right lung is pretty compacted with junk. I'm having a hard time getting it up. So that's my biggest thing. I'm super lazy. Am I lazy, Michael?
Just lethargic, just
You
tired.
don't have energy.
Yeah, she has a burst of energy, and Christian, you know, her trying to get her to slow down once she gets that energy burst. But she's doing great. She's doing great. She's listening. She's sleeping. So
it's going to be good for you you could use the rest. So it'll be good for you. In no time, you'll be, you know, feeling stronger than ever.
I mean, rewind a week ago, we were in Barcelona walking 20,000 steps, and we were having the time of our life. And like 3 days later,
I mean, again, back to everything happened. Thank God it happened when you got home. You were near physicians and doctors and hospitals that you knew. You know what I'm saying? Again, you know, blessed. And in the middle of storms, there are blessings too. You know, and so I think it's always important to remember that. And you've clearly got a lot of business left here to do, my friend. So we're gonna do it. Okay.
She's doing better. She will be fine. She's coming out of it. So.
Yes, she is. So if y'all are at home listening, send all your love, all your positive energy to Vicki's love tank. Fill it all the way up. Let her know.
Michael's daughter, who works with me.
So what we just listened to,
and she said I was talking gibberish,
was the Vicki
Gunvalson. The email didn't make sense.
Explain her near-death experience, her freaking near death. She went from this. She literally went from this to almost dead in 3 weeks. Traveling the world, living her best life, to almost dead in 3 weeks. And the doctors misdiagnosed her with a sinus infection, you guys. You guys are very welcome for talking about this. You know, I'm my mother's medical advocate. Whenever she goes to the doctor, it's been that way since even before she needed one, just because I'm like, well, what'd they say? Why'd they give you this medicine? You know, and I want to hear it for myself. So I'm either on the phone with her or in person with her when she goes to her appointments. If she ever calls and I'm not able to be there and I hear them try to send her home when it's something that I feel is something else, I am like, put me on speaker. And they will have me on speaker and I'll be like, what if this was your mom? I want you to treat my mom like she's your mom. What would you send your mom home right now? Oh, you wouldn't? What would you do for your mom? Let's do that for my mom, because my mom is important to me as your mom is to you, doctor. And that usually gets some stuff going further. Just like tugging on that heartstring and humanizing a person and personalizing it to that doctor. How would you treat your daughter? How would you treat your grandmother? How would you treat your son, your father? How would you do that? That's what I need you to do for me right now, Dr. Person. That's what I need you to do for my loved one right now, Dr. Person. Because to go from this, living your best life, to having to tell us about a story where you freaking almost died and the doctors sent you home, you're obviously discombobulated, and the doctor sent you home. Imagine, oh my God, we didn't even factor in the part where she told us she was driving around that whole time. Dizzy, discombobulated, couldn't make a sentence, but she was driving a whole ton's worth of car, not realizing that she was having a medical episode. You guys, we got to be careful. Let's listen real quick. I'm going to let you guys hear some more because some new people came in. I don't know if you guys heard or not. Yes, Q says sometimes you have to advocate for yourself or have someone advocate for you. That's what we were talking about earlier, Q. Always try to have a medical advocate, a trusted friend who's not going to go back and tell all your medical secrets to somebody if they find it out, a loved one, somebody. You need somebody to be an advocate for you in a lot of situations, especially in the medical field. Yeah, you're going to need somebody to hear what you didn't hear. So let's listen.
After we got there, it was really not feeling that well. She got on antibiotics, was doing better. We went to Europe. Everything was okay for the most part. But then when she got home on that Thursday night, and Olivia called me when she was lethargic and she really didn't understand where she was. So they put her in the hospital and they told the doctor that she had had the sinus infection a few weeks back. So they kind of ran with that and didn't really get into any more detail. Well, it turns out they sent her home. I'm working on a project in Scottsdale, so I took the first flight back. And when I got here, her friend was with her and she left about 3 minutes before I was walking in the door. And one of the scariest things for me was when I walked in, for some reason, Vicki decided she wanted to take a bath, so she's in the bathtub with water, and I walk in and she's pretty much passed out. So I grabbed her. That was scary, and I grabbed her, pulled her out of the water, put her in bed. The doctor said she just needed to sleep. So I put her in bed, and she slept literally 13, 14 hours straight. And I just thought it was a little much. So I woke her up. And when I did, I tried to get her out of bed. And I asked her, she had this kind of look on her face like she didn't know where she was. And I said, "What's my name?" No. And she looks at me for literally 15 seconds and goes, "Mike." And then I said, "What's your birthday?" And same thing. So I asked her several questions. And then when I tried to stand her up to take her to the restroom, she couldn't walk. She was shuffling her feet. And so she was so discombobulated on this whole thing. I said, I was afraid she was having a stroke. So I said, that's it. So I picked her up, carried her downstairs, put her in the car, took her to home. So after we got there, it was, didn't take much. They put her right into a room. She had a massive infection of, it was actually sepsis, but it was pneumonia. And
Grand Rising, Stephen.
And I'm no doctor, but the way they explained it is that when your body is fighting that big of an infection and that dangerous of an infection, your whole body attacks it, which affects the brain and everything else in your body because your body sends everything it has to fight it. And so, unfortunately, I've had sepsis. It's not fun, but it was scary for her because she just didn't know where she was. And so they put her on 6, 8 antibiotics, and hope was great once we got her there. And it was just been a long process where, she's steroids, she's had everything under the sun. And she's getting better. And I'm staying with her till she can function. And but it's pretty emotional. It was, Christian, it was dangerous. I was trying not to play into it, but it was scary. And so we're glad she's okay.
Thank God for Olivia. Olivia, if Olivia hadn't spoke up and said, no, we got, because, and I know you, Vicki, especially in the middle of a work day, to try and get Vicki out of the, you know what I'm saying? It's just thank God you were with somebody that, knows you well.
Now, this guy, I believe, is who she does this podcast, My Friend, My Soulmate, with. If you go to her IG page, let's do that real quick. We'll get off of here soon. Thanks for coming through to LRGA Curves. Make sure you smash the like button, smash the subscribe button if you haven't already. Now, that's that. Let's go here. Let me X this. Sorry, you guys. Because see, he's all over her page. See, there he is. There he is. There he is. Like he's all over this page. So, Christian Grace Snow, they met in Vegas and now they whoop it up together every week on a podcast. So maybe he was at BravoCon or something. And so they have this podcast called My Friend, My Soulmate podcast. Because he seems really like he's in this YouTube video we're watching crying. And I'm like, that's beyond being a fan. Like he knows her. And it's because they have this podcast, they have a relationship. So, because I was wondering why he was sounded so, emotionally attached beyond just being an interview person.
Enough to know that it wasn't right and loves you enough to speak up and be like,
he had a cry angle out, you guys, at one point.
We got to do something, and I knew it was serious because we were supposed to have a meeting that day. We were supposed to have a pod meeting with our team. And Olivia texts me and she goes,
see, look, he had a cry angle.
Sinus infection.
He had a cry angle out. He needs Candace to come show him how to fold it, but he got that little tip going for the cry angle. But yeah, that's her podcast guy. So anyway, Curvies, I just wanted to share this story with you for a number of reasons. Educate yourself on education so that we can know signs to look for because things can happen. It might feel like a sinus infection, but if you're feeling super inflamed and discombobulated and like weak, then go to the doctor. And if they try to tell you it's a sinus infection, say, no, I think we might want to do some tests. And now that we heard the word sepsis here, maybe you could even be like, could it be sepsis? You know what I mean? So, and really advocate if you don't have somebody, because not everybody has somebody. So advocate for yourself at least. Okay. If you have the right mind to, like Vicki was mentioning that she was out of her mind. Like she fell out of her brain practically. So if you have the wherewithal and the mental fortitude, then before they can send you home, maybe be like, I'm not comfortable with being sent home. Can you maybe do another test if your insurance allows it? Is there anything else you should check for? Because I don't feel like I can physically get home right now. Like I won't be okay. You know what I mean? So hopefully this helps some people. Shout out to Vicki Gunvalson. Shout out to Mike Smith and his daughter Olivia. And shout out to knowing that she had her life together selling insurance. She got her shit together. So at least her family would have been taken care of. Not that that's all of it. They would have still missed her. But that's another thing. You can use this to know that, hey, a lot can change in 3 weeks. If you're not protected, if you're not set up, if you don't have your trust, if you don't have a will, even though that means it will go to probate, then go ahead and get those things together, because we already know they'll be so too happy to take all the stuff you work hard for and not give any to your family. That's the Michael Jackson family. They're not getting nothing so far. It's been years. It's been 15 years since the man died, and they're still arguing about his estate. So get your stuff in order, and your loved ones will thank you for it. I hope this helps some people. We're all really glad that Vicki's okay. I'm going to stop sharing this. And you guys go out and have a great day. It's Monday, you guys. So much stuff to happen today. It's the beginning of the week. So go co-create awesomeness. And there's enough to go around. So go get some. And I'll see you in the next video, Curvies. Peace.